What's up, college football fans? Ready to turn your week one predictions into big wins? I've got the hottest, best bets you can't afford to miss. Week 1 best games are started with number 10. Arizona State is favored by 7 over Wyoming. I think Arizona State, even though they're predicted to finish with a losing record this season, I think this one's going to be a cover for them. I think they're going to not only win, but cover the 7-point spread over Wyoming at home in week 1. Number 9 game this week is Northwestern hosting Miami University. Northwestern's only a 3.5-point favorite over this MAC school. It's duly noted that the whole year Northwestern is not actually hosting a regular home game. They will be playing in a makeshift field hockey or soccer stadium that only holds like 20,000 people. I think even given that, Northwestern is still going to win this. They're still going to cover at 3.5. I just don't think Miami, Ohio is just that good of a team. They have no offense. Northwestern has that much better a defense. They're going to grind it out. It might be a 7-point game only, but I still think they're going to cover the spread and get the week 1 victory. Number 8 this week, we got Houston hosting UNLV. UNLV is Houston is the favorite, 3.5. The Big 12 team they've been in the Big 12 for the last 2 years. They're hosting this Mountain West team, which gave I think they are the number 1 bet cover last year. As you see there, they went 5-2 against the spread as an underdog last year. I think this year they not only cover that spread at 3.5, but they also win this game outright. UNLV is going to technical upset against the Big 12 opponent Houston in week 1. Number 7 game, Florida State against Boston College. Florida State is a 17-point favorite in this one. After that week 1 shocker against Georgia Tech, Florida State has to rebound, you would think, in this one. I don't think Boston College has a chance of winning. I think Florida State's going to win outright. However, I do think that Boston College is going to cover the 17 points. I just do not believe in their offense. I do not believe in DJ Uiagalelei, and I just have more to see from this Florida State team before I start taking them in 3-score spreads. I'm taking the Eagles in the to cover in this one. Number 6 game, we have one of the more interesting week 1 games of recent memory. We have Oklahoma State at the Big 12, and we have South Dakota State out of the Missouri Valley. Yes, an FCS team is in this top 10 matchup. Why? Well, South Dakota State has lost 1 game each of the last 2 years and won the FCS National Championship both years. And this spread for this game, even though Oklahoma State is at home, they're only a 10.5-point favorite in this one. Oklahoma State has many dark horse predictions to not only make the Big 12, but win the Big 12, and therefore make the CFP. South Dakota State they have nothing to lose in this one. They lose this, they still have their entire FCS schedule to go, and they'll probably go on and win another FCS National Championship game. But in this one, I would almost pull the trigger saying the FCS upset could happen to Oklahoma State, the number 18 ranked team, but I just don't think they did it. However, I do think the Jackrabbits, South Dakota State, will cover the 10.5-point spread, and although they moved 0-1, they'll still put up a really good showing against one of the favorites in the Big 12 this year. Number 5 game this week, game days in Morgantown, West Virginia. Penn State against West Virginia. Penn State is only a 7.5-point favorite in this one. All the analytics in preseason show that Penn State is going to be a much better team than West Virginia. The projections are, anywhere from 10-2 to 11-1. West Virginia, I think at most they get to 9-3. How tough their schedule is. They have the toughest strength of schedule in the entire Big 12. In this one, though, I think Penn State's going to win outright, and I think they're going to cover. Last year, they went 9-2 against the spread as a favorite, and I think they went 11-2 or 10-3 overall against the spread, just like their regular record in win-loss. And I think Penn State will cover this one, 7.5 in Morgantown. It's going to be a good game. I don't think if it's 8 points, if it's 10 points, I think it'll still be a good game until Penn State ultimately, with second-year Drew Allar, I think they just ultimately cover the spread and win in the end by more than 1 score. Number 4, the Miami Hurricanes versus the Florida Gators. The team a couple years ago, or 5 years ago, this is one of the best games, week 1 games we ever had, or week 0 games. This year, it's going to be probably should be another good one too. Miami comes in as only a 2.5-point favorite against Florida. Even though Miami's supposed to be 9-3, Florida at best will get to 6-6. Their analytics show they're both even. And obviously, strength of schedule is a huge disparity. Florida plays the number 1 strength of schedule in all of the country. They have, including the last 5 games, which is the toughest 5-game stretch I've ever seen in recent memory. this is a really difficult one to pick because both were not particularly good against the spread last year. In the end, I'm going to take Miami, Florida outright and to cover the 2.5. They win by at least 3. They beat Florida week 1, and Florida starts their spiral down to what could potentially be Billy Napier's last year at head coach for Florida. Number 3, LSU versus Southern Cal. This is a Sunday game. LSU is a 4-point favorite. Both come in at ranked in the top 25. This is a neutral site game. Both have really good offenses. Both are mid to subpar in defense, and both have really difficult strength of schedules. I think in the end, LSU is just even though USC has a better quarterback, I think overall LSU just has better talent recruiting wise. Brian Kelly's done a really good job the last 2 years of recruiting, and they were 8-4 against the spread last year, whereas USC was only 2-2 as an underdog. I think LSU covers in this one. They get their win week 1 of the season, open up on a strong note. Number 2 game this week is Georgia versus Clemson, which is 3 years ago. If we saw this, it ended in a 10-3 tie, a neutral site game down there in Charlotte. Only score was a pick 6 right before half. Georgia won 10-3. This year, it's another neutral site game. Georgia opens up as a 12.5-point favorite. I mean, every analytics shows Georgia's number 1, basically every category overall. Clemson, even though, is number 16 overall in the composite power ratings. I do think this game will be a potential. They could have a potential rematch in the CFP. Georgia, I think, is going to finish undefeated yet again in the regular season. I think Clemson. This is going to be Clemson's only loss the whole year. I think they run the table in the ACC and get back to the ACC championship game, where I think they will win it. And I think in this one, Georgia is not only going to win, but I think they're going to cover, because I just think Georgia just has so much more talent than Clemson does. They both have second-year guys returning as a starting quarterback, but I think Georgia is just that much better than Clemson right now. And the number 1 biggest matchup of Week 1 is Notre Dame going on the road to Texas A&M. Texas A&M is a 3-point favorite. Notre Dame comes in a top 10 preseason ranking. Texas A&M comes in number 20. It's do or die for Texas A&M. Even though Jimbo Fisher is not there anymore, they have one of the most talented rosters in the history of the program, and it's do or die for them. If they don't get to at least 8 wins this year, I will be very disappointed that Texas A&M this needs to be written off completely. They're never going to live up to any potential. Notre Dame, I think they finished with 2 losses this year, but I think they still have an outside chance of getting in the CFP. No matter if they lose 1 or 2 games. This is going to be a really good matchup. Both are really tight in offensive ranks and defensive ranks. Strength of schedule, Notre Dame's a little easier than Texas A&M, but I think in the end, Notre Dame will cover the 3 points, and I think they're going to win outright. I think last year, alone against the spread, they were 9-3-1, which is the second or third best of any school in the entire country. As a favorite, A&M was 5-3, so not much more, not too bad themselves. I just think on the road, the biggest stat since 2018, Notre Dame is 20-6 on the road straight up, and I think they not only cover this one, but they win straight up in College Station down there in Texas A&M. That is Week 1 review. These picks got you hyped for the weekend. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more winning bets every single week just like this. Think you got better picks? Drop them in the comments below and let's see who's got the edge this season. I'll catch you next week, guys. Let's go and